We didn't exchange any numbers or contact information. I never saw him again. I saw Eddie Murphy 15, 16 years ago pick up friends of mine on that street block in New York City.
Hey boy, you look mighty cute in them jeans.
Eddie Murphy was on the strip.
Her claims also lines up with Eddie Murphy's scandal. In 1997, Eddie was involved in a scandal that nearly buried his whole career when he was pulled over by police late one night in West Hollywood. It was supposed to be a routine police pullover, but guess who was in the car with him? A 20-year-old transgender escort named Adesony Shalimar Sayuli. Now, Eddie claimed he was only trying to help someone out, that he was being a good Samaritan, just offering a ride. When the police questioned him further, it came out that Nicole and the kids were out of state when he picked her up at 4 a.m. He said he had gone out to find something to read when he met the person on Santa Monica Boulevard in LA, and he had no idea that she was trans.
And I'm not gay, and I'm not, you know, and that's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that, when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells ET that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning. He says he thought he was aiding a distraught woman.
Looks like a pretty Hawaiian girl in the corner crying. It looks like she was crying. She goes, oh, Eddie Murphy. She noticed him at the light. She recognized Eddie Murphy. Oh, my God. So I go, what are you doing? Why are you out here working the streets so late? She goes, oh, I'm on my way home. Can you give me a ride home?
It gets even darker when you think about Orlando Brown. Now, folks have clowned him for years, brushing off his wild stories as chaotic rants from someone who fell off. But if you go back and listen, really listen, he's been calling out Busta Rhymes too. Orlando once claimed he had a relationship with Busta.
Folks, thanks very much for being here.
Okay, so speaking of immigration, the immigration raids have left the crops unharvested at some California farms. Lisa Tate is a sixth-generation farmer in Ventura County, California, an area that produces billions of dollars worth of fruit and vegetables each year, much of it handpicked by immigrants in the U.S. illegally. Quote, in the fields, I would say 70% of the workers are gone, she said in an interview. If 70% of your workforce doesn't show up, 70% of your crop doesn't get picked and can go bad in one day. Most Americans don't want to do this work. Most farmers are here barely breaking even. I fear this has created a tipping point where many will go bust. One Mexican farm supervisor, who asked not to be named, was overseeing a field being prepared for planting strawberries last week. Usually he would have 300 workers, he said. On this day, he had just 80. Another supervisor at a different farm said he usually has 80 workers in a field, but today, just 17. Oh, really? People who are being chased to their death when they go to work stop going to work? People who are being put in these dangerous ice facilities where people are dropping like flies from poor conditions, malnutrition, reports that they're drinking out of the toilet. Oh, really? They're not going to work? So if you feel this is what you voted for, what do you think the cost of your groceries is going to be going forward? You really think a bunch of Americans are going to go take these jobs? Really?
Well,
about
this is the thing.
That's about as likely as Zionists going to live in Israel.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, look, if I mean, because you may say, well, Americans won't do this work for low wages, so if you pay them enough, they will pick strawberries. Okay, I mean, obviously, by definition, if you pay them enough, they'll do anything. If you pay someone enough to do anything, they'll do anything. Here's the thing. Here's what I see, and I base this a lot on the sort of post-pandemic supply chain issues, so quote unquote. These companies are not going to pay Americans a living wage to do this. They will sooner grow less strawberries, let more strawberries rot, and then charge more money for the strawberries that they're able to bring to market.
Exactly.
How do we know that?
Start paying $35-$40
Right.
an hour to pick strawberries.
How do we know that's what they're going to do? Because they did it. They did it. Coming out of COVID, that's exactly what they did. They choked supply and increased prices. And what happened to their profits? Their profits went through the fucking roof. Their corporate profits were at a record high in the post-COVID supply chain crisis, quote unquote. So paying Americans a living wage is just not on the menu. They're not going to do that. They would sooner grow less berries, let more berries rot, and charge more for the berries that you buy. And they'll make money that way.
And what they're going to do is drive the small farmers out of business, and you'll just have further consolidation from the large companies that can weather that kind of a transition.
Right, exactly.
So here's one report about the impact this is having on real farming.
I'm here in the Dalles at CE Farm Management, and owner Ian Chandler tells me that they had to start off their harvest with about 50% of the workforce that they normally have. And because of that, this year's cherry harvest, as well as the future of their farm, is in jeopardy.
What we have here is we have cherries. These are bings.
Branches heavy with cherries.
But you have to pick them at a certain sugar level.
Tons and tons, destined to shrivel on the vine.
So like this fruit is not going to be able to be harvested because it's too far gone.
That's because on day one of the harvest, about half of their 120-person workforce wasn't there.
Our harvest workforce is primarily immigrants. I would say the majority are from Mexico originally. And they are skilled workers who come up every single year. A lot of people have a lot of fear based on their ethnicity, which is an unfortunate thing.
Chandler says the fear over ICE raids isn't just present at his farm, but across many farms like his. For him, it means an unprecedented loss.
So we are in a situation where we're going to have to leave probably 300 to 400 tons of fruit on the tree. It's going to be devastating.
He and his wife are even looking for second jobs to make up for the loss. But on top of those fears, Chandler's wife is from Mexico, and the knowledge that people who look like her and his children don't feel welcome hits close to home.
We've got regular people out here who are helping us out. They're not criminals. They're not bad people. They're just like you and I. They're just trying to make a living. They're, taking care of their families. And for them to be in this country and in fear, that doesn't feel very good.
Chandler tells me they'll have to cut back on certain things over the next year in order to make ends meet. But if this happens again next year, he has no idea whether their farm can continue. Reporting in the Dalles.
And remember, this is happening at a moment when you are having as many farm bankruptcies in the first quarter of 2025 as you had in 2024 total. So the farms are already in a very vulnerable position. That's partly because of inflated prices on seed, on fertilizer, interest rates being high. This has long been a curse, particularly of small farmers needing to borrow money in order to get through the season and hopefully get ahead for next season. And now you throw this into the mix, and it's the straw that broke the camel's back, particularly for the small farmers that we're supposed to care about so much. So here's just a little bit about that from News Nation.
These loans that were these operating loans that might have been financed in the 3, 4, or 5% are now getting financed in the 7 to 9% interest rates. Then you have an increase in overall input costs, and combine that with lower commodity prices. It just results in farmers having no other option but to seek a Chapter 12 bankruptcy filing to continue their operation.
We've also heard from some farmers across the country who've said the recent uptick in ICE raids at farms and food plants, like this one in Nebraska just last month, have made it even harder for them to find employees, overall making it more difficult for them to keep their doors open. Those changes, coupled with higher expenses and concerns about the current trade environment, mean some family farmers are hurting and, as we said, are really forced to turn to bankruptcy.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our news.
Oh no!
Oh my God!
But don't worry.
From?
Yeah, exactly. it totally harshed my mellow. All right, but don't worry. Don't worry. Our Secretary of Agriculture's got you, man. She has a solution. You're gonna love it.
I can't underscore enough. There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
Okay, so out of I believe it's 35 million. That is off the top of my head. My numbers may be a little off, but I don't think so. 35 million Medicaid recipients, 22 million are over 50. They're over
Yes, that
50.
sounds right. Yes, as a
That is who.
percentage, yeah.
Yes, that is who she is talking about, throwing into the fields people who are in need of Medicaid, many of whom are on Medicaid because they're sick. They're sick, and about 2/3 of them are over 50 years old. And look at what she goes to first. Automation. Automation. They don't want to give you jobs. What they want, as the person who actually posted that clip said very eloquently, this is a manifesto for a low-wage police state. Deport the immigrants, threaten the poor, automate the rest.
Yep.
Welcome to the new American workforce powered by cruelty, not dignity. Exactly. This is happening at a moment when this is what the latest inflation report looks like. Eggs are up, I think it's 27.3% over the last year. Coffee, 12.7. Steaks, 12.4. Ground beef, 10.3. Apples, 7.2. Is this a moment where the American consumer, where the American family, particularly workers, can afford to absorb an enormous increase in prices resulting from scarcity and all of these crops that we don't have the labor to pick? I mean, I know it's very emotionally satisfying to say, this is what I voted for. This is what I voted for. But are you going to go, and when you can't get an apple for less than $3, you're going to go, this is what I vote for. This is what I vote for. I don't think too many people are going to be saying that at this point. It's not that there is no issue with our foreign policy. Probably the smart way to deal with it would have been guest worker visa programs being expanded, but that would require an interest in governing rather than an interest in scapegoating a group in order to build support for the construction of a police state that is going to suppress the population when they realize that they've been completely thrown overboard by the rich, who are going to continue even more so to scoop up all the spoils. That's what they need the police state for. In order to get you to support that, that wasn't going to work with the lib approach, with the eat bugs and own nothing and be happy. That wasn't working. So, you slap a couple packets of ketchup on the ear, and everybody votes for this guy who ushers in the whole Bill Gates Mark of the Beast program that these people would have fought against if it had come in under Harris. And the Democrats, because of their ideology, they can't scapegoat immigrants that way. These guys don't have that obstacle. And on top of all that, President Donald Trump's tariffs continue to work their way through the U.S. economy, even as the risk of further escalation grows. Trump announced Saturday that the U.S. will impose 30% tariffs on the European Union and Mexico starting August 1st. On Monday, Trump threatened to impose secondary tariffs on Russia's trade partners at about 100%. Tariffs are a tax on imports from foreign nations paid by U.S. companies that import the good or service. Businesses negatively affected are expected to pass on at least some of that additional cost to consumers through higher prices. Quote, while inventory front-running has mitigated the need to raise goods prices, it will become increasingly difficult for businesses to absorb higher import duties as pre-tariff stockpiles dwindle. Sarah House, a senior economist at Wells Fargo, said in a July 8th research report, we expect core goods prices to pick up further in the second half of the year as a result. As we are in this higher tariff environment longer, you'll begin to see more of these effects, House told CNBC. Now, you see some people who say, well, why isn't the inflation going up? It is. It is going up. not as quickly as you might expect because a lot of companies hoarded things in anticipation of these tariffs. As they run out of stock, they're going to start to raise their prices to reflect those tariffs. This regime has only been in place for a few months. It seems like they've been in office for 80 years, but they've only been there for a few months. It's really in the second half of the year. Right now, the harvest is going on. You're going to feel the impact of the fact that all these people have been terrorized into not showing up for the harvest as the year goes on and produce is scarce. Who is that going to help? The idea that you punish these countries by tariffing them is absurd. That is a tax on you. On you. In the end, you're going to pay for that. And as Keaton said, they did it during COVID. What, you think they won't do it now? They'll just jack up the prices, make less. And what are you going to do? Not eat? It's easier for them to just produce less and make it more expensive. Who's going to stop them? Trump? Huh.
Right.
He's not going to care. And he's going to keep telling you as your quality of life continues to deteriorate about how it's the greatest economy anybody's ever seen.
It's hot. We're hot,
It's hot.
now.
We're hot.
The hottest country on earth. That's right. And no, I mean, look, we have not really begun to even feel this yet.
No.
I mean, this is really the calm before the storm.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. My real name says, don't worry, industrial agriculture will save the day. Nocturnal Human says, I'm American and work with other Americans. I know how lazy most of you are. Stop pretending you're going to work on a farm.
I want to see some of the people who have so much time to hang around the comments saying, this is what I voted for. Go work in those fucking fields.
Go work on a farm.
Why do you have all this time to sit around watching YouTube shows, man? Why you go pick some fucking strawberries?
Well, the other thing, too, is the whole thing about the Medicaid people are going to be in the fields. Yeah, a lot of the older Medicaid people are sick. That's why they're on Medicaid, because they lost everything because they got sick.
Yep.
And then, a lot of the younger able-bodied people who are on Medicaid already work. When I was on Medicaid, I worked. You know why I was on Medicaid? Because I made shit money and my job didn't pay benefits. I didn't have time to go pick
that's
a job.
most people on Medicaid.
Most people on Medicaid, yeah. That's what it is. All right. Well, that, folks, is our show tonight. Thanks, everybody, very much for being here. Thanks to the team, Misha, Malcolm, Andrew, Jimmy, and Steph for the opportunity. Hope the road is treating you well. I guess this is a travel day, and then the string of gigs starts tomorrow. So once again, tomorrow is Toronto. That's the 17th. And then 18th, Red Bank, New Jersey. 19th, Northampton, Massachusetts, and the 20th, Concord, New Hampshire. So go to jimmydore.com and get your tickets to go out and have a great time. It's a great show. I saw the show in Cohoes. Russ saw the show in Buffalo.
Yep.
So
Buffalo, yep.
Great tour this year. So get your tickets and go check it out. Thanks, everybody, very much for being here. Russ and I are going to be on Dude Dissidents tomorrow at noon, so tune in. If you don't get put in the fields to pick strawberries and you got nothing else to do, then tune in and watch us tomorrow at noon on YouTube and Rumble. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight, and have a great one. See you next time.
Bye-bye.